What's going on, guys? Welcome to my Descendant build series for the First Descendant. Today we're going over my updated 3.0 builds for Hailey.
Target confirmed. Ready to fire.
So Hailey just got a massive upgrade. We're talking like ultimate level upgrade. She also just got 2 brand new Transcendent mods, which doesn't happen other than when they release an ultimate. So needless to say, everyone's pretty confused, yet also very excited. I mean, she was good before, but now she's an absolute monstrous beast. Probably the best mobber in the game right now, next to Harris. Now, I was a Hailey main for a very long time, and it's nice to see her finally getting the love that she deserves. First, let's start off with her changes. Her trans mod, Cryogenic Cluster Shot, got a major upgrade. It now fires 18 times across 18 different targets instead of 9. And the burst damage got boosted from 257% up to 1,288%. The movement speed reduction caused by her third ability has now been reduced from 2.5% per stack down to 1% per stack. They've also adjusted the casting animation for her second ability so it doesn't take quite as long to go off, which is actually pretty awesome. Her 2 new trans mods are called Camouflaged Sniping and Cold Heart. Camouflaged Sniping changes her third and fourth abilities. Her third changes into Arctic Rage, which builds her ice stacks up to 30. Of course, this still lowers her movement speed down to 1% per stack, but it also increases her firearm critical hit rate, skill critical hit rate, and firearm penetration per stack, as well as giving a massive 40% boost to both skill critical hit damage and firearm critical hit damage once at max stacks. While the movement speed reduction can be annoying, there are 2 ways around this. First, you can use the Frost Watcher. Its unique ability automatically ignores the movement reduction for 3 seconds whenever you kill an enemy. Then there's my preferred method, using the Albion Cavalry Gun. Not only does it have a ricochet effect that hits 3 additional targets every time you get a critical hit, but it also gives you a movement speed buff plus 50 every 0.1 second of continuous fire, up to 10 stack. So not only does it completely negate the movement speed decrease of Hailey's third ability, it actually makes her run faster than she would without it on. Win-win. Camouflage Sniping also changes her fourth ability into Arctic Silence. Now, whenever you pull out her Zenith sniper rifle, Hailey will stealth, just like Sharon. The gun itself takes on the base damage of whatever weapon you're holding when you activate it. It also deals additional damage of 1,820%, gives a firearm attack increase of 170%, causes 3,742% of burst damage, and restores 15% of your MP every time you hit a weak point. Note that the stealth does go away upon using a skill or firing a shot, so keep that in mind. Cold Heart, however, alters her playstyle in a very fun and unique way. It changes her into a close range combatant. Yes, you heard that correctly. Her first acts almost the same as it does when you're using Cryogenic Cluster Shot, only with 12 shots instead of the base 18. Her second deals 11,718% direct damage and 5,953% AoE damage in a 5-meter radius in front of her. Her third now increases her movement speed instead of lowering it. Yep, that's right, you get a 5% increase per stack for 16 stacks. This also grants her a 12% increase to both skill critical hit damage and firearm critical hit damage once at max stats. Note that grappling or rolling resets the stacks. Her fourth changes completely. Where she would normally pull out her Zenith, it now causes a massive AoE Ice Burst instead. This deals 4,835% base damage with a blast radius of 7 meters. It also inflicts Frostbite on all enemies hit. Her passive now grants a 15% bonus to both skill critical hit rate and skill critical hit damage when in close range, within 25 meters, to be specific. For her trigger module, I use Power Beyond for the set 15% skill power increase. You can also use Relative Speed or Steel Vanguard if you wish. Truth be told, I have not received Steel Vanguard yet. I have just heard a few people talk about how good it is with her. I cannot say for sure. As I said, I have not gotten it yet, so I have not been able to try it out. Anyways, with that all out of the way, let's move on to the builds. Her first build is for mobbing, and it can handle all current content very easily. I prefer to use the new Hypernova sword for its towing. It makes using the AoE from her fourth much more efficient. It's also great for clustering enemies up to blast them all to hell with your second ability. The mods for this build are Cold Heart, Focus on Singular, Focus on Chill, Emergency Measures, Skill Insight, Frontlines, Skill Expansion, Nimble Fingers, Skill Concentration, MP Conversion, and her Ancestors module, Marksman's Resolution. If you don't have her Ancestor module, you can use something else, such as Multi-Talented or Increased HP. Her second build is also for mobbing, but it's designed for a bit more survivability. It works great in Void Erosion Purges and the new Supermassive Receptor Dungeon. The mods for this build are Cold Heart, Focus on Singular, Focus on Chill, Skill Insight, Spear and Shield, Frontlines, Skill Expansion, Nimble Fingers, Skill Concentration, MP Conversion, and her Ancestors module, Marksman's Resolution. And again, you can use something like Increased HP or Multi-Talented here instead if you don't have her Ancestors module. Now, you can swap out Cold Heart for Cryogenic Cluster Shot with either of these builds if you would rather run her ranged rather than as a close range combatant. That is entirely up to you. Cryogenic Cluster Shot is more than viable, especially with its massive beef up. Just remember that when using that mod, your run speed goes down with your third and not up, so you'll have to use one of the methods to compensate that. Here is the RK tuning for these builds. And I use the RK Concentration Mutant Cell. Her next build is a gun build, and it uses Camouflaged sniping. Remember to just use the Frostwatcher or the Albion Cavalry gun to negate the movement speed decrease. This build isn't as fast as the Cold Heart builds, obviously, but it is powerful as hell, and it can easily solo the Void Erosion Purge. The mods for this build are Camouflage Sniping, Skill Expansion, Shot Focus, Focus on Singular, Skill Concentration, Increased HP, Focus on Chill, MP Conversion, Skill Insight, Nimble Fingers, and Marksman's Resolution. This mod can be swapped out for something like Frontlines or Increased Defense if you'd rather. It just depends on what you have and or need. Here is the RK tuning for this build. And I use both the Defense Neutralization and the Frostbite Vulnerability Mutant Cells. And lastly, we have her boss build. I mainly use Cold Heart for this, but you can use Camouflage Sniping depending on whom you're fighting, or if you just simply prefer to a more ranged playstyle. Make sure her third is up at all times, pop her first, then her second, and continue to fire while repeatedly popping her first. Repeat her second and fourth as they come back and as needed, and you will make short work of just about every boss in the game. The mods for this build are Cold Heart, Spear and Shield, Focus on Chill, Skill Insight, Frontlines, Skill Concentration, her Ancestors module, Marksman's Resolution, Nimble Fingers, Emergency Measures, MP Conversion, and Hyper Focus. If you want to swap out the Ancestor module here, I would recommend either Focus on Singular or Glacial Synthetium. And here is the RK tuning for this build. And I use the RK concentration mutant cell. For the weapons, I use the Hypernova, the Ancient Knight, the Frost Watcher, and the Albion Cavalry Gun, depending on what I'm doing and or whatever I need at the time. And here are the builds for those. For the Fellow, you'll definitely want to use the Snowy Sled Dog for the MP regen. This is by far the best Fellow to use with Hailey, in my opinion. Plus, you know, Husky, Snow Chick. I mean, it's kind of a duh. It writes itself. You can also use the Vesper's Hunting Dog for gun builds if you want, but I've never really had an ammo issue on her, so you do you. For the Reactor, I use a Frozen Singularity Reactor. Try to focus on skill crits and or skill power bonuses. For the external components, I use the Polar Night set, especially when using Cold Heart for the Frostbite procs. The Slayer set is also a viable option if you'd rather. For the Inversion Reinforcement, I use RK Circulation Tactic for the cooldown, Selective Neurostimulation for the MP regen, and Superheated Plasma for the Hypernova. Feel free to swap this out if you are not currently using the Hypernova. Also, make sure you have this right here. I know that reinforcement just recently reset, so try to focus on this first. Quantum Domain. It gives you extra skill power and range, and it definitely helps. Hailey is absolutely phenomenal right now, and she's a blast to play. As I said earlier, it's nice to see her finally getting the love and attention that she deserves. On a quick note, as of the new update, Hailey's unique weapon, i.e. her fourth, now takes bonus stats from the weapon cores of her equipped weapon, not just its base firearm damage like before. Currently, only Hailey and Glay have this implemented, with the remaining unique weapons coming at a later date, so stay tuned for that. Check out my other Descendant build videos, and please feel free to ask any questions you may have about this build or about Hailey herself. And that's it for this video, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Later.